And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for our YouTube channel live. I'm Tom Tynan, and the gentleman out in front of my house just decided to mow the yard. So it's just another one of those days. Besides that, you can listen to me on Home Show Radio on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays from 9 to noon and Sundays from 8 to 11 on Sports Radio 610 if you listen in the Houston area, and of course, HomeShowRadio.com. You can listen to us anytime by hitting the listening button. And before me on Saturday, we have the Garden Pros. They come on from, I go on at 9. They come on from 7 to 9, get the times right. And they talk about your gardening problems, your visions, everything you want to do with gardening. And don't forget, Sunday, I come back on. I always work. I work every day, including Sundays from 8 to 11, again on Sports Radio 610, answering your home improvement questions for 35 years now. And with me today, of course, is Charlie Mosier. He helps me here with our YouTube channel and everything we do.
But not mowing the lawn.
I didn't pick that one. I don't know where that came up.
I'm not mowing the lawn. I don't do windows. I don't mow the lawn.
No, but Charlie sometimes has the postal service next door, and he has his own noise too sometimes.
Yeah, there is right outside the window behind this computer. There's a big old window, and the post office parking lot is over there. And sometimes we get to enjoy their music when they have shift change. So it's a beautiful thing.
It's called This Is Live. That's for sure on YouTube.
It is, and in some weeks we're able to pull it off, and some weeks we have last week.
We always pull it off.
We do. But what we do is we answer the questions you send us at HomeShowRadio.com. Oh, that reminds me. I've got something here I didn't turn on the computer. But I feel like my dad every time I look at the computer like this,
We're
right?
We're doing fine.
All right, yeah. So if you have questions, we're only on YouTube now because we kind of told Facebook we're not going to do it over there anymore for a variety of reasons. But now that we're only on YouTube, or should I say exclusively on YouTube? It sounds better if I say we're exclusively on YouTube than
requested exclusively by YouTube.
Right. We wanted to make nice with the Google, and so we're on their YouTube. And if you have questions, you put them in the comments section. They'll pop up on a little window here, and I'll be able to see them and we can include them as part of the show. Other than that, next 25 minutes or so, Tom and I are going to answer questions that y'all have sent us at HomeShowRadio.com, our website, where you can click on a button, fill out the AskTom form, and send it in. We've already gathered them for this week, so if you got something you want this week, put it in the comments section. So those are the rules of our game, and we always like to start with what is news in the home improvement world, around the corner and up your block, and whatever else we want to talk about. And today's big news happened south near the border.
Yes.
It's not that news, though. It's not that news.
We got a lot of news down here. But take a look at this. Everybody complains. What happened to shop class? There's never shop class in the high schools anymore. But I can tell you down in the valley in the state of Texas where I work, in fact, I've got my Texas Southmost shirt on right now. There's my little logo. And you'll see me in some of these pictures. We tested over 150 welding students from all the high schools in the area. It was a fun test. We gave out prizes. We had companies like Lincoln, Miller, some of the big welding companies here. We had companies such as Steel Coast and other people that are doing hiring all over the country. There is a workforce training program, not as much as we need, but I tell you what, these high schoolers did a great job, and I am worn out. Since 7:30 this morning, I've been herding like cats, 150 of them all over the campus, and we have been testing them, and they did pretty good. And a lot of them will continue on, but it does exist. I am a part of it. Skill training program is in my blood, and that's what I do Monday through Friday. And as you can see, that's my welding shop. It's one of the many shops I have that I'm in charge of. I am the director of construction trades and manufacturing. But don't let your heart be troubled, as some people say. There are shop classes left in high schools. And down in the valley in Texas is an area. They're probably in more rural areas of the country, but they are out there, and we are training our workforce. So quit blaming the high schools. We need to blame the adults.
Well,
I like that blame much better.
And apparently, Tom, this you sent some more pictures. This must be some of your graduating students here, right? Guy's doing well. He's wearing a tie. He's
that is the president, President Roberto Rodriguez. I should call him Dr. President. I don't know what comes first, but he is the president of the college. The big tall chap is one of my instructors. The lady next to him, that's my program manager, Imelda, and she does a fantastic job. You know what she did today for this high school students, real quick? She put a movie on in one of our conference classrooms. Avengers. They got a round of applause and popcorn for free. So sometimes you have to think ahead
It's
and
knowing
shoot
your
right ahead
audience right there.
and know your
No,
audience.
play to the room. Speaking
We're
of,
taking an approach to test them. Oh,
are these
there
are
I am.
these the kids that went through the program?
I wouldn't call them kids. They're young men and women, but that's one group of over 150. We took them in small groups. We tested them, and the best looking welds won the competition. It was sponsored by the American Welding Society.
Did you? Yeah, I would love to have seen a picture of the prettiest weld, but you don't have one of those,
I
right?
didn't think about that. You're right. I could have taken a picture. We do it for
Yeah.
SpaceX with all the testing. We document everything on our little cameras, and I should have done it.
That's all right.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. No, that way no one has to feel shame that theirs didn't look as good. So we got that
Some of them
covered.
get pretty upset when they don't win. That's for sure.
So, all right. Before we move on, where I guess you can find more about the school at Texas Southmost
College. Just Texas Southmost College. Just Google it or whatever you do online,
right.
and we have a big website, and you'll probably see my picture on that. We have a Facebook too, wherever that is.
Just Google it. That's what you do. Just
there you go. Google it.
Tom's going to Google it. He's going to use his MySpace.
They have a YouTube channel too, actually.
Yeah, actually, Tom's going to have more pictures on his MySpace page, so you may want to look for that a little later today.
I don't know what that is.
Okay. All right.
On Twitter. That's it.
Let's get to the questions here. First one comes from Michael over in Bernie. He says, I want to replace the 1980s insulation in my attic. He's got a San Antonio area home, obviously. It looks like they use shredded cellulose when the house is built, and I seem to recall that from your San Antonio radio days, Tom, this is a guy who goes back a ways, that
TSA.
you did not recommend spray foam either. So should I have rolled fiberglass installed?
Yes. Well, you can roll it out if you want to. If you do put a blanket down, which is rolled out fiberglass for an attic, it comes in longer lengths, then make sure it's unfaced. If you want to put it down on top of the cellulose, if you want to remove the cellulose because it does deteriorate over time, you can do that. You don't always necessarily have to do that. Or you can have the fiberglass blown in on top. But formaldehyde-free fiberglass, I don't know if back in KTSA days I had formaldehyde-free if it was available yet. But the minute it hit the market, that was always been my favorite. But fiberglass has by far always been the insulation of choice for me.
Now, people who may be new to the show and haven't heard you speak about this in the past, there's a reason why you've got this negative view of there's another term I was going to use, but I really can't use it on a family show.
Nice. Okay.
A reason why you don't want to use foam in our area. I mean, even in San Antonio.
Well, San Antonio is not much different than where we live in the Houston area, or even down in the valley. I would tell you no foam. I had a house with foam. I just want people to know that first off, but it was in Lake Placid, New York, in the Adirondacks. It was way up in the mountains where it was 40 below zero. That's a whole different world up there. When you're down here in hot, humid climates, you have to let vapor transfer through. Your building envelope, which is the walls, the attic, the ceiling, I should say, the whole upper area. And if you're off the ground, the floor too, it's got to breathe. It has to stay dry. You see, there's two types of heats we deal with. We deal with latent heat and we deal with sensible heat. Sensible heat is just hot or cold. In the mountains, you want it to be warmer in your house. You just put the heater on and you do your best to stay warm. But when you deal with latent heat, that's humidity. Humidities will build up, and if they can't transfer through, what happens to water? It goes from a gas to a liquid, and then of course it could go to a solid, but not down in the Texas area very often, maybe once in a while. But it doesn't go to ice. But it'll find a place to where it'll start to absorb into a building material. It has nowhere else to go. And if it doesn't have a way of transferring back and forth, that's why the building wraps we use today have a perm rating that have some breathability to them. So it doesn't reach a point where it's stopped, because once wood starts to absorb water, it goes into the wood. Guess what? You have mold. Mold is an issue that we fight down in the Gulf Coast terribly, and it's a health hazard. Not unlike the cellulose insulation from the question, that deteriorates into dust. Well, the reason they can use it as an insulation, it has borates in there. That's used in rat poisons and things, but it's also a fire retardant material. Fire retardant materials are not good to breathe. So why would you wrap your building envelope in that when it's going to become so dusty someday that it could get into the area of your home, and they're finding that it does, and it's a problem. And with foam, you don't get any of that vapor transfer. So a mold issue is a possibility. And with formaldehyde-free fiberglass, it doesn't have any food for mold. It's formaldehyde-free, so there's no outgassing to worry about. It holds its shape because it's glass fibers, and there's no health effects to it. It has a long life to it.
So the short answer is you don't like foam
Yeah,
because it doesn't let the house breathe.
Yes.
Right? Okay,
Yeah, but
there
I
you
want
go.
to say that people go, what's he talking about? That big nose
Breathing,
on
yeah.
the side.
The house, it's like the Omen or something. The house is breathing, but no.
And let's say this. Yeah, it is. If it's like an igloo tool, yeah, you could have that Omen. An igloo cooler, you could live in it, but you'd have to have mechanical systems to dehumidify. You'd have to have fresh air returns. You have to have all these things because you'll die without oxygen. And so when you do that to a home, you have to add all that mechanical equipment to make it a healthy home. And it's okay if you approach it that way, but it costs tens of thousands, if not more, dollars to do something like that, to make it a healthy environment. To save, what, $25 on electric bill? Doesn't make sense.
It makes, as I've heard you say many times, Tom, is like, why would you pay for a mechanical system that'll do what Mother Nature will do for free?
Absolutely. Mother Nature, just like your attic ventilation, hot air rises. Just open it up, feed it, let it exhaust, and it'll do all of that. You don't not need to buy all these fans and all this forced ventilation and all these different things. Just let Mother Nature do it.
Well, I will tell you, we're having the roof redone over there on Casa Grande where we live.
Yes.
And anyway,
yes, he has a big Casa Grande. That's why they call it Grande.
The roof is going to cost about half what Sandy and I each paid for our first houses. But he wanted to put this is Jim from Ideal Roofing, one of our home show pros. He wanted to put turbines on the back because of the pyramid style of house we have.
Yeah, you've got a really tight hip up there. And
it's a pyramid because one day when Pharaoh dies, we're going to be buried, and my wife will be buried with me. That's
top off.
No, it's the kind of pyramid roof. Anyway,
I know
but he wanted to put turbines back there, and I said, "Oh God, no, you can't." And so we're having him put a solar fan in there so that
that's actually a great place when you do have that peak, like you call it a pyramid. I'll go with that. It's a
so you would say the turbines would be okay.
Anything. Huh?
The turbines would be okay. I'm getting it from Tom.
You were always trying to find a place for me to say that. Oh, the turbines. Yeah, but they're ugly. I don't like turbines because of the way they work. Air Hawks would have been a better choice for me, but. That's one place where forced ventilation, if he can run that thing to where it's making sense, because you have no other option. But people that are not from Texas, I want you to know there's a joke here. If you want to buy your house a wife a really nice home, or for that matter, your husband, whoever it is, make sure it has a really complicated roof line, because that's what apparently sells in Texas, are roof lines that aren't simple and you can't ventilate easily. And so it's always a challenge.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go to that slide quite so fast. Yes, you are correct. You are correct. I was kind of like there, and then you said that. Come back to it. Yeah, we'll come back. But you are correct. We have one of those cut up kind of roofs that's all over the place, and didn't think about that when I bought it.
Nobody does.
Nobody does. But I'll tell you the last thing about the turbines, and this is something that if you are considering getting a roof. And there are places where the turbines make sense, Jim says. And the reason he says it makes sense there is our backyard is narrow. It's wide and narrow. He says, you're never going to see them. They're on the back of the house. And it's like, put them there.
Yeah, and you can do that. The reason I don't like them personally, because I've been in attics and they spin when it's raining. And we get some hellacious storms here in the Houston area, and you'll get water that will spray in. That's the part I don't like about them. Everybody has their own idea. They do work. If it was in Arizona or something and they needed it, that would make more sense to me. We don't have all the rain. But in super heavy rains, and I know in some of our storms, that's the least of our worries, a little bit of spray. I just don't want it in the attic.
Yeah, we're also going to put radiant barrier up there. Hey, let's get back to the questions here. Here's one.
That's a good one. Okay, go ahead.
Lindsay from Moores. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Lindsay in Mooresville, North Carolina says, I watched your video about what causes a musty smell when switching heat to AC. We worked real hard to get that one done, too. And we feel like I finally found an answer after installing UV lights. So, Lindsay, we love you, but you apparently didn't watch the whole video. But anyway, however, my AC guy isn't sure what coating y'all are referring to in there. Could you perhaps recommend a coating for my system? Not sure if it makes a difference, but I'm in North Carolina where the heat and AC cycle part of the year. I have a heat pump AC systems, 1.5 years old, and this wasn't an issue with the old unit. This has been a mystery, and we've just about tried everything, including altering our encapsulated crawl space. That's something we don't have around here.
Well, I'm just reading the way this question is given to us. She says that she found an answer and it was UV lights, but apparently it didn't answer it because she
It's
still has
true.
a problem. So I want to make that point.
Well, just
Right there.
remember, God answers every prayers, but sometimes the answer is no. And she did find an answer, but it's not necessarily the right answer.
Yeah, the UV lights. Now, UV lights will work on a surface. If that was her problem and she just had a surface issue and it had to kill something that's on the surface, then yes, it probably would have been fine. But it doesn't sound like it worked. The coatings are all different. The manufacturers have them. I want you to find an air conditioning tech that understands it. I don't want you to tell an AC tech what the coating is because they're all a little different. And if you make a wrong mistake, you're going to ruin a $2,000 coil. So find a tech that understands why this is happening. It's called the smelly sock syndrome, and it can be a combination of a whole bunch of little things. And the coating isn't always the answer too. So for us just to say go get a coating, it has fixed a lot of problems. It just helps wash the coil a little better. So when the coil is washed, it doesn't get all that debris on there. But it could be a setting on the air conditioner where it's just not cleaning itself. It's not dehumidifying. You get these really warm coils that don't get any water on there, and all the schmutz just gets onto it. And so they need to clean themselves. So I want you to get someone who understands how to fix it, not someone that's you're telling to put a coating on. And here's what I'm afraid of, that you'll go out and buy a coating and just start spraying it on there, or somebody will do that really isn't a school technician and just ruin $1,000 worth of a couple $1,000 worth of your equipment. So I'm reluctant to say buy this one or that one, and there are different ways to handle this.
All right, so shop around. It's as we've talked about this before, that the most important day of your AC is the day it's installed, but the second most important day is the day it's designed, because they're picking the components and everything that's going to go in there. And it sounds like here this is a case where maybe it wasn't properly designed, and they need a new tech to come in and correct some of the issues.
Well, that's what I'm concerned of. And that's why just putting a coating on might not be the answer to this. I want someone, because someone came in and said, oh, we'll put a UV light, it'll fix it. It didn't. I don't want somebody to come, okay, I'll just spray this coating like you want, and it doesn't fix it. A couple of things. First off, you'll think we're crazy. But most importantly is you're not getting the results. And I want you to get the results. I want someone to come in and say, we found your problem. Here's what we need to do to fix it, not just guess.
Well, it's more fun to guess, though. All right. Stephen is in Conroe. Let's try this one. Hold my beer. Stephen in Conroe says, do you have a pro that does concrete expansion joints? Our current wooden joints are not all intact, and I don't want expansion cracking issues on our driveway. So apparently he suspects that these wooden things are preventing cracks in his driveway. You want to help him with this?
Well, I'll help him. It has nothing to do with getting cracks in that wood rotting away. It's the joint itself, whether the wood's in there or not. If you pulled it out, it would be fine. It's for everything to move. So don't be concerned about cracking. I don't know of a good remedy for these things. And since 1987, when I started doing the show, HomeShowRadio, it was called Home Improvement Hotline back then, there's no answer for this. Some people have come up with what they call the driveway gasket. I haven't heard anybody after 3 years be very happy with it because it curls up on the edges and comes back out. Then you have the backer rod, and I saw this the other day on a YouTube video, not unlike we're doing here, and they were showing you how to do it and everything. But it was funny because the person doing it was saying, well, this is the way you do it, but it's not always the best thing to do. And he was going on all the negative stuff while he was showing you, and he was doing a great job doing it. And they're self-leveling compounds, and it's something I wouldn't recommend because it looks bad. It curls up on the edges, and if it gets really hot like it does in the Gulf Coast and maybe where you're living, you can drag it in on your feet and drag it all through your house. So just the residue of it, like asphalt. So I don't know of anything that's good, but I can tell you this: you're not going to get any more cracking with not having that piece of wood in there. That's for sure, because the joint, the expansion space is already created.
Okay, so the answer to this question, as it was in 1987, and it is here in 2022, is that don't look down.
Don't look down. I don't look down on my driveway. I hit it with some weed killer once in a time when the little weeds come up. But no,
not
it's
Roundup.
old driveway. Don't
not
look down.
Roundup. That's bad.
Okay, that's fine. No.
If you want to learn more about that, be listening on Saturday mornings.
There you go.
The Garden Pros, folks.
Monsanto's a company that does. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I'll let
Actually,
everybody else decide that one another show.
They're the ones who. Yeah, they got the hurt put on them. Yeah, you don't want to put that stuff on your lawn. It's a bad program. All right, Nick is in Cyprus. He says we have one window that must have lost its seal. It has condensation in between the panes. Do you recommend a company that can repair this, or do these typically just need to be replaced? We are not prepared to replace a large number of windows, so we just want to match as close as we can.
Yeah, all you have to do is call a glass company. You can call Glass Doctor in the Houston area. They can do it. If you live in any other city, anybody watching this, call a glass company. Think of it like this, and if it makes you feel better, you can do this. Throw a baseball through your window and break the glass. You don't buy a whole new window. You have a glass company come out, if it's a double pane system, make the system and replace that section. I wouldn't throw the baseball through, but I'm just making that point that glass can be replaced in any window. So call a glass company to do it. If you have 4 or 5 panes of glass, it's not that expensive to do it. Here's the one thing you want to talk to them about, though. If you have a low E coating on your existing windows, some low E's will give you a green tint or a gray tint, and you don't really notice it until you put a different one next to it. Then you say, ooh, they don't quite match as far as the color goes. Or they might not have any low E coating at all, which is usually put on there. Talk to your glass company about the color of the low E, whatever they use. And if possible, if it's going to be one without it, make one with just plain glass and not the low E coating. And that way, when the sun hits it and stuff, it will still look exactly the same.
Okay, we're getting letters. We need to know, Tom. Hold your hand up. What happened to your hand?
Oh, gosh. You're getting letters? That's called a blister from working, Charlie.
With these?
Yes, with these.
Hey, I get calluses on one of these, pal.
I got the school that I worked for during the week gave me a warehouse.
Oh.
And we had sweep detail day. And guess what the boss didn't do? Because he wanted to act macho, so he was going to go in and show him how to sweep. He's the one that didn't put his gloves on. Now I got this. Okay, what's next?
Mission accomplished. All right.
Yeah.
So
let the boss get back in the office, okay? He doesn't have his gloves on.
All right. So back to Nick for just one quick say. I saw that. I've been noticing it through the whole show. I'm like, people are going to wonder.
I didn't even remember it.
I make sure it's not stigmata or something here. All right.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, okay. Good. Anyway. So Nick was asking about that, and Tom mentioned Glass Doctor. I want to tell you that Glass Doctor is one of our home show pros. You'll find them at HomeShowRadio.com there. And if you scroll down, you'll see that they're all on the homepage. And if you don't know who, but you know what you need done, we also have them organized by category at HomeShowRadio.com. You can go in there and find that and get the pros that Tom trusts. They've got to be in business a number of years. They got to have a location and insurance, got to have good reviews, good banking references and all that in order to be a home show pro. So we've done the work to find people that you can trust. And these are people who not only meet all those standards, but Tom likes.
Yes, I do.
So, I mean, I'm serious. I mean, we talk.
I'm very serious. Most of them are friends of mine for like 20 years or more.
Mm-hmm. Or more.
Everybody I've got a relationship with. It's just like, how many radio shows have a sponsor from 1988 to 2022 and pretty much stayed pretty consistent? There was a little lapse here and there, but
no, you've got one that's been all the way through. Ideal Roofing's been there all the way through.
1990.
Okay.
And that's Ideal Roofing. So I'll give Jim that. That's 1990 until now. And look at Hardy Siding, Ernie. We're talking decades. So we have a relationship with all of our pros, and they're long term. In fact, I'm proud to say a lot of them I get to see retire and move on, and they did real well with their companies. And because of my listeners who called them and used them, and the very happy customers, everybody worked out. It was a win-win for everybody.
You'll find them all at HomeShowRadio.com. So that's where to go. All right, our final question, Tom.
Yes.
For today, for this broadcast,
okay.
not
Yes.
We'll,
No, I'll be
we'll
on
have
Friday.
more.
Yeah,
All
every
right,
Saturday.
okay. All right. Joe in Angleton says, I'm fixing to build a pole barn, and builder wants to set the post in saccrete or concrete. I'm concerned this will shorten the life of the post. Your suggestions?
Well, I don't know what else you'd set it in, but some kind of cement. That's what's usually done. So whether it with a pole or a post, if you use zero point 0.6 pressure treated lumber, that's structural lumber you order specifically for that kind of for that kind of application, you're not going to have it. You can have those posts put down 13 feet into the ground, say in Galveston Island, and they don't rot. But it's a zero point 0.6 pressure treated structural post, and that's what you should be using. If he's using an old cedar tree or something that puts in the ground, I don't care what you put it in or don't. It's going to rot away. And it always rots right at the area where you have the dirt or the ground. Touch it where water might get wet and dry and wet and dry. It's always right around that surface area, way down in the ground. It takes a long time for them to rot. They usually don't. But if you use the right material, whether they put concrete around it or like on the island and they just put them so deep that the sand sucks around it, either way, it's not going to rot. It's going to last longer than we'll all be walking around. I'm pretty sure they've really put a lot of chemical in there, but it has to be ordered as structural. You can't buy it at a Home Depot. They're going to have 0.4 only. That's in contact with ground, but that's not enough of the chemical to keep it from rotting for a structural application.
All right. Well, cool. Well, we've done it again, Tom. We've used up 30 minutes of otherwise valuable internet space and bandwidth, and
on YouTube.
On YouTube, that's right. We want to thank,
Yes.
and Sergey's always in my heart for having started Google, which wound up buying YouTube and all that.
Oh, I have no idea what that is. Okay.
I was talking to somebody the other day.
I have blisters for a living.
That's right. Hold the other hand up. I just want to make sure. Hold on. Let me see the. Okay, good. Phew. All right. Anyway, just thinking right spiritually here. But anyway, somebody was saying that you guys have been doing videos quite a while. We have been doing videos longer than YouTube's been around.
That's true. I don't know how we used to send them out. Just on our website, right?
Yeah, it was just on our website. And believe me, putting them up used to be a pain in places where you don't want to have pains. And so, but anyways, but now we have a YouTube channel. So we're all over the world. So say hello to my mom in Utah and anybody else in the world who may be watching. So,
okay.
All right.
Well, I'm the last living relative for me. So hi me.
He's the end of the line.
That's right. I am the end of the line.
Well, no, your kids carry on. So.
No, my kids, but they're not watching my channel. Trust me.
Yeah, but they may be listening to you on the radio. They may want to listen to you on the radio, so let's tell them where to find you.
You listen to me on Saturday from 9 to noon and Sunday from 8 to 11 on Sports Radio 610. And don't forget Garden Pros.
You can forget
Garden. And there's a lot of garden shows in my lifetime. The Garden Pro Show, and they go on from 7 to 9 on Saturday, and there's a lot of good information for you there, too.
And that attractive host. All right.
Yes.
We will. So that will do it for us this week. We will be back again. No, we will not be here next Thursday. We will be off next Thursday, but we will return. I'll be in the Palouse next week, and so we will not be here.
Oh, so we're not going to do it Thursday? Okay, I didn't know.
I'll be away. So, and unless you want to, Tom, if you want to come in and learn how to push these buttons, you're welcome to do the show with that. Okay,
I'm actually going to be in Houston, but no.
All right.
I don't want to push the buttons. I don't care about being in Houston.
We will see you when we see you, but make sure you check out Tom this weekend on the radio. And remember, even if you're not in Houston, you can catch it on our stream at HomeShowRadio.com. We'll see you next time.
Got a question? Ask Tom on Home Show Radio. Home Show Radio. Free advice from a pro who knows. Home Show Radio. Home Show